Mr. Preston, good morning, casuals. Let's go BYU. BYU. I'm with you. Mikkel, good morning. BYU can win any game. It just depends on their guard play and if they're shooting the three well. Have you guys seen the gaudy? And when I say gaudy 3-point numbers, the numbers that BYU puts up from three, if we're being honest, can BYU basketball win the whole thing? No, they can't. I don't believe that they're good enough. And listen, I did not have them beating VCU or Wisco, but let me get this right. Let me give you some of Wisconsin's numbers. So they shoot Wisconsin 43% from the floor. Not bad. They shoot 34% from three. Not bad. Other than that, they were terrible. I was trying to find good numbers. Wisconsin, look at the number. Look at how BYU dominated. 49% from the floor, 46% from three, 94% from the free throw line. They out-rebounded Wisconsin 41-32. They out-assisted Wisconsin 21-11. This is the remarkable number. BYU only turned it over 11 times. And the crazy part is Wisconsin didn't have a single fast break point in the game. And I'm sorry, did you say they only lost by 2 points? BYU statistically dominated this game top to bottom and only won by 2. All right, does that concern you at all?
I mean, yeah, I think it speaks to the kind of team that BYU is. Like, I think, as the comment section is kind of pointing out, like, BYU can, I think BYU can play with anybody. I think they can be in any game. Now, winning the game is a different story. I think that, shooting the three at a really high percentage only goes so far, because I think when you look at the shots they got, the looks that they're able to generate against a team like Wisconsin, they're not doing that against teams like, Florida and Houston and the big boys that you're inevitably going to run into, down the stretch. And I think that BYU is a great story. I think that KY is, doing a fantastic job. I think that turnover number that you look at, that's a great adjustment. BYU had a bad habit this season and early on in the tournament of turning it over somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 plus times a game. Typically anywhere between 18 to 23 times a game they were turning it over, and that leads to fast break points. And so it's no surprise when you look at the Wisconsin game, Wisconsin doesn't have any fast break points, mainly because BYU didn't turn it over a whole lot. And when they did it in a controlled fashion. So I think BYU's playing well, but I would agree that I don't think BYU has the size or the depth to beat the best teams in the country currently.
I think if you have to shoot the lights out, and they do, BYU, in my opinion, cannot win without shooting a very high percentage from three. I look at the VCU game where they won handily. They shot 40% from three, which is elite. I think in college, you shoot anything over 35% and it's elite. They're shooting 40 and 46% to win games.
Right.
That's red hot, right? And I think you look at BYU shooting 68% from the stripe against VCU, 35% from three. Okay. You look at some of the numbers in these games that BYU is winning, and it's a little scary that, like their turnovers, they turn the ball over 12 times and beat VCU. So this tells me, in my opinion, they only win when they shoot the lights out. And that's a little scary because Alabama's no joke. Alabama is legitimately one of the best teams in the country. Like, what is your confidence factor against Alabama?
I mean, I would say, I think BYU's in that game. I don't think they lose that game by 20 or anything, but I think that the problem is going to be, again, generating quality enough looks to shoot a high percentage. Like, that's the trouble, is that I look at the and some of the threes they made were difficult shots, like take nothing away from them. But there are a lot of times when they're able to generate, a wide open look and knock that down, and credit to them. But I don't know that you're going to generate those type of looks against a more disciplined defense. And I watch, some of the other teams in the tournament over the weekend, and I'm sitting here saying like obviously, like Houston's one of the best defensive teams in the country, and they're able to do some things. But you look at other teams in the tournament, and it's like, hey, like if you're playing a team that's got guards who are 6'4", a wing player that's 6'5" and can move a little bit, like has length and can cover ground, that's gonna be a little bit different than playing a VCU team that maybe isn't as doesn't have nearly as much size, and a team that you can really manipulate offensively through screens and movement. And that to me is where I say, hey, you're playing Alabama and Nate Oates and that offense, and you're looking at that team and you're saying, yeah, like you're probably not holding Alabama down. Like that's a 80s 90s kind of game if you're going to win it. And once again, I'm sitting here saying, yes, you've defied the odds, but at some point you're either going to cool off or a team's going to force you off of the 3-point line, and you're going to have to figure out kind of how to get it done in the 2-point game. And that's my concern. So my confidence level is probably only 50-50 at best that they can actually beat Alabama. I have a lot of confidence that Kevin Young is going to find a way to put them in a spot to at least give them a chance, though.
Well, I think you look at Clifford Omarui and you say to yourself, he's the linchpin of that defense at Alabama. And he's one of the reasons, Cliffy is one of the reasons that they made St. Mary's look pretty pedestrian. That's a good basketball team. And I think that's what worries me most. And I look at the fact that Omarui's averaging 14 points, 8 boards, 2 blocks in the tournament. They're going to be a handful. Can BYU win the game? Absolutely, they can win the game. They're going to have some kind of special performance, because I think Alabama matches up very well with BYU. And you look at the fact that Alabama is one of the fastest teams in the country. They are looking at their rankings, and it's one of the better offensive units. They have a top, and this is the thing that really stands out to you. They're probably a top 5 defense left in the tournament, Alabama. And what I was really surprised how easily they handled St. Mary's. Really surprised.
Yeah, well, I think when you're 13-5 in the SEC, and you're a 24 win team overall in the regular season, like you're a good team. You have a lot of different ways that you can win. But once again, I'm going to point out that if you're BYU, the thing that I think is concerning is that this is a team. You go back and look at this team and what they did in the regular season. Not that it's a like for like, but this is a team that regularly scores 90 points. Like you go look back and look at their game logs. This is a team that does not struggle to score the basketball. And that's the thing. If you watch BYU basketball, on the defensive end, that's where I'm looking at this. And I'm simply saying, like, hey, like you're able to get some steals and do some things, but I don't know. I just think when you play teams that have length and size and can move and have that next level of athleticism, it obviously gets more difficult. So I think they're in the game, but I'm not going to sit here and pick them to win the game, certainly.
Well, it's the first time they've been in the Sweet 16, in 14 years?
Yeah.
Richie Saunders is playing unbelievable basketball, putting up 25 a game. Kevin Young certainly has brought the best in the offense out. They move the ball exceptionally well. They tend to find the open look more than most teams do. But it'll be interesting to see if you gave up 89 to Wisconsin, how much are you going to give up to Alabama? Because the thing that worries you, if you look at the numbers, 175 and a half. 175 and a half. They're expecting a very high scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're BYU, 85's got to be the number. I mean, if you can keep Alabama, 85 or less points, you're going to have a great shot to win that game. If you allow them to get out to, 91, 94, 95 points, you're losing that game.
Yeah.
And I think that again, it's this concept of How do we shoot at a high rate and an efficient manner? Because I also think the efficiency numbers are something to look at with BYU. You know, it's not like, yes, they shoot a lot of threes, but they're also making a lot of those threes. So right now it is efficient basketball, even though it is in volume. And that's the thing that is again, as I said, after they beat VCU, you're gonna live by the three and die by the three if you're BYU. And I think that this is not a team in BYU that is regularly going to put up 95 points. That's not their squad. They are an 87 to 90 point team trying to hold down a team that scores over 90 points with regularity. And that's where I just think that you have to find a way to confuse Alabama offensively and generate those looks. And I do think that Kevin Young deserves a lot of credit for being able to look at these teams and say, hey, this is how we're going after these guys. This is what we're Richie, I need you to do this, and I need you to get it to this guy to get the look. And if I would assume we would see another unique game plan out of them for Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably one of the top. BYU's one of the best offensive in the country. I think we know that. Who's the best 3-point shooting team in the tournament? Probably Houston. BYU's got to be dealt with offensively. I just really worry about Alabama's ability to control the defensive end of the floor with their size. That's what I'm worried about. That we'll see how all that plays out. And I think that they are fast. Alabama is incredibly fast. So we'll see. I mean, it's a matter of what percentage of threes go in for BYU.
Oh, yeah. And if it's a lower percentage, Alabama's going to have more transition baskets.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're shooting threes and getting those long rebounds generated, we all know how that works, whether that's the college level or the NBA level.
Yeah. Bama plays zero defense, Roy Wall says. Have you watched Alabama basketball at all? That's simply not the case. So, you know. Bama is not an elite defensive team. They're no Houston. How many Houstons are there?
Yeah.
I would say in the country, they're top, then I can look it up for you. I guarantee you they're top 50. Probably in the entire country, I would guess that they're top 30. And if you're a top 30 defensive team, I don't know what you mean by they're no Houston. If they're no Houston,
Houston's one of the best defensive teams in the country, if not the best. Like I don't know that that's a fair bar to be comparing Alabama to. Nobody said that Alabama is the best defensive team in the country. What I'm saying is that they're a better defensive team in the matchup, without a doubt. And I think that Alabama can absolutely force BYU off the 3-point line if they so choose to go about the game that way. And that ultimately is what matters.
Yeah, I think when we look at their 35th in opponent point per game, so right there, that tells you that they're pretty dang good. And if we just look at, let me see if I can find a better number. If you look at defensive efficiency, I mean, Alabama is, as of yesterday, the number one offensive team in the country at 91 points a game. And their defense, I don't know what they're 35th in scoring defense. They are, let's see, what are they in defensive efficiency? I don't know. I have to go back and sort it, but I'll find the stat for you. If your belief is that a team that's 35th in scoring defense is not a good defensive team, I'm not really sure which one you're looking at. BYU can beat anybody. It may be one time in 100, but they can beat anybody. Well, yeah, certainly.
Yeah, but that's, with all due respect, that's any given Sunday type thinking. Like let's have an honest conversation about it. Like, I don't disagree. If they go out and shoot 50% from three, they're going to beat anybody. Okay. But what are the odds of them doing that? What like you're telling me that going out and shooting 50% from three, and taking 35 threes, like, is that what we're talking about here? You're telling me that they're going to make more than, let's say, 23s, 25? No, they're not. Like that's not going to happen against better competition. What we're not saying here is that Alabama, this awful defensive team, apparently,
Apparently.
is 27-8 overall. Because they're such a bad defensive team, and BYU hasn't seen anybody the caliber of Alabama on their season, in my opinion. So I have a real hard time, sitting here saying, yeah, well, man, they have a good shot to beat Alabama. Alabama's terrible defensively, and they're the best offensive team in the country, though. Never mind that. Like, let's be realistic here. They're the best offensive team in the country, statistically speaking. They are really solid defensively, in my opinion. Yes, do they have their woes like any other team? Yeah, sure.
Yep.
But there's no question that they have size, they have ability, they have athleticism. Like, you're not just going to walk all over them, man.
Roy Wall also says Bama scores their points because of pace not being efficient. They do not shoot the three at a good they shoot the three, I think 35%. Bro, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is what BYU fan, I would implore you to be realistic. They shoot 35% from three, and you don't think that's a good stat. Alabama shoots the three at 35%, and you're telling me that's not good. BYU, I think, doesn't BYU shoot it at 37%, and that's elite. And you're telling me that who is Alabama's best win? Let's look at their best win is probably Auburn, the Auburn win, right? In the Auburn win, they shot at 31%, 93-91. They won, shooting it at a lower percentage.
But wait, I thought they were a bad defensive team.
They are a bad defensive team, right? They can't. Oh, wait. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Alabama doesn't live and die on the three. They shoot at 35%. And somehow that's a bad thing? You're telling me that 35% from three on the dot, that their field goal percentage as a team is 48%, and that's a bad thing? BYU fan, you have to be at some point realistic about the way you look at the. I'm just going to guess you're not going to be realistic, because
that's fine, whatever. Like,
do you really think that Alabama is accidentally 27-8 just because they play at pace
in the SEC, dude? Like,
you really think that's the case when BYU shoots 37% from three and Alabama shoots 35, and Alabama's a better free throw shooting team, and from the floor their number is almost identical to BYU, but all of a sudden BYU's this incredibly efficient team and Alabama sucks and only runs? This is where I tell you, you might want to be more realistic than that. It is to me, when I look at Alabama's best games, because I think that's what you need to do. Go look at the opponent's best opponents.
Yeah.
When you're playing one of the best teams in the country, you score 93, they score 91. That tells me you're fine. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, it tells me that you have options in the half court. You
Yes.
have the ability in a tight game to go down and run sets to try to get good looks.
And in their top 25 games, they held Oklahoma to 79 while scoring 107. Guys, against Texas A&M, they gave up 88. Ole Miss, they gave up 64. Kentucky, they gave up 97. One of the better scoring teams. Mississippi State, they gave up 84. Okay, so they give up too much. Should we look at what BYU gives up against ranked opponents? They gave up 96 to Ole Miss. Well, geez, I mean, okay, let's see their other ranked opponents. They gave up 85 to Arizona. Okay, they gave up 57 to Kansas. They gave up 95 to Arizona. They gave up 85 to Iowa State. They gave up 92 to Iowa State. And somehow that's all well and good for BYU, and BYU's a better team. But Alabama, against better opponents, gave up essentially the same kind of point totals, and Alabama can't play defense. You're crazy. Alabama is a top 30 defensive team in the country. So we'll see exactly how this game plays out. We'll see how this game plays out. I'm just telling you. Yes, thank you. Going off emotional over logic and reality, take your emotions out of it.
I also think that when you look at BYU's regular season track record, we also know that BYU is a team that turns it over a lot or has a propensity to. And again, it's funny how the turnovers go away against lesser competition, right? Like you're in the tournament, you're playing VCU in Wisconsin, turnovers go down, right? You're able to cut those down. But I'm guessing against Alabama, you're going to have more than 15 turnovers. That's just a guess, though. I would be surprised if you kept it under 15 against that caliber of a team. And I'm just telling you guys, I love like we always get in this situation with BYU fan because with all due respect, you take it so damn personally. But ultimately, I really enjoy the style of basketball that BYU plays. I really enjoy the pick and roll game that they get working with Richie and whoever it might be. But ultimately, what Alabama's track record says with their regular season about them is no matter who they're playing, they can adapt and find a way to win, right? Notice in their ledger, they've got a game where they had to put up 103, I think it was we just said. They've got a game where they won a lower scoring defensive battle. Like again, ultimately, you can't get over the fact this is a team that's got damn near the same record as you do coming out of the SEC, and they've actually played Auburn, right? They've actually played Florida. They've played the best teams in the country, and you haven't yet. So let's make sure that we're on the same page about level of competition.
I think that matters as well. Let's see. Stadium Guy James, good morning. I think BYU could go to the Final Four, but Houston is winning it all. Houston is a significantly better team.
Yeah.
I think Houston has done nothing to make you think that they're not one of the better teams that we've seen in probably the last 3 years.
If you watch Houston, you watch them demoralize teams. Honestly, you get to about 7-8 minutes left in the second half, and whoever they're playing most times is just like, damn, dude, like this team is just better.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see how all that plays out. Norge Coog says the Ole Miss game was an OT. Why does that matter? Stephen Keel, that was with Grant Nelson too, but he has been hurt. Grant Nelson played 30 minutes against St. Mary's. Grant Nelson, 28 minutes, 1 of 4 from 3, 12 points, 2 dimes, 8 boards. Do you guys, this is what I mean. Like, do you guys pay attention to,
dude? Like,
do you guys pay attention to this stuff at all?
Come on now.
Grant Nelson is playing. His knee is fine. The Alabama's Grant Nelson was dealing with a knee injury, and he had missed some time, but he's back. So I think it's Duke is the only team in the country top 5 offense and defensive efficiency. Yeah, it's very rare that you have a team that is, and this is what worries you about Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama scores a ton of points, and they're top 30 in defense. That's what concerns you. And obviously, they're significantly better in the middle than BYU is. So maybe rebounding's a stat you pay attention to. I don't know. Penn State won the national championship, but Oak State, what are you talking about? Tell me we're not talking about fucking college wrestling. Dude, please, God, tell me that you just said the heavyweight.
Bro.
James, did you really bring up college wrestling? I give up. When you played Houston twice, yes, they got blown out both times, but they still played one of the best teams in the country 2 times. Listen, I'm not the one besmirching BYU here, man. I think BYU, the thing that scares you is they live and die on the three, and I agree with Jake. They tend to turn the ball over too much.
Yeah.
And when I look at their games down the stretch, like if you look at big wins, like the Houston loss. The Houston loss was early January, right? Houston, in the games against Houston, BYU shot 33% from three. Houston shot 47%. Houston badly out-rebounded BYU 37-24. That's what scares you. BYU turned the ball over 15 times, leading to 24 Houston points. That's what scares you, man. That's why I'm saying, like,
The better teams are going to make you pay for the turnovers.
the better teams inflict their will against you.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
significantly worries you. And then in the second loss, obviously, where Houston was a much better team, what was that, last week, 10 days ago or whatever it was? You look at that loss, they lost by 20. And again, what are the numbers that stand out to you about BYU? 3-point shooting, 21% from three.
Mm-hmm.
Rebounding, they actually out-rebounded Houston and lost by 20.
Yeah, and what's the thing with both of these games? You damn near scored the same amount of points in both games against Houston.
And you turn the ball over 13 times this game, 15 last time. You just look at some of these numbers. It scares you a little bit. BYU lives and dies with the three.
Yeah.
And I think that teams like Houston are going to make that very difficult.
And I also think for BYU, they're not a team that can afford to try to come back in a game. You know, I mean, obviously they can get hot and go on a streak. But if you watch the Arizona-Oregon game over the weekend, you know, Arizona gets down early. You know, Oregon appears to have the upper hand. And then Arizona just kind of goes to work and starts, you know, pounding the boards and taking over the game. And they wind up winning that game and controlling it. And again, that's the thing. BYU doesn't have this, you know, in my opinion, another way to win the ball game. That they need to shoot well, not turn it over, and then they need to, when they play their best basketball, they have good pick and roll sets working that inevitably give them two options for whoever the roller is, to kick it or to finish.
Well, and I also think defensively, BYU, like the Iowa State games, worried me because Iowa State had some really clean looks from three.
Mm-hmm.
Now, BYU shot the lights out against Iowa State. That second game, they shot like 50%. The 96-92 game, they shot 50%. What'd they shoot in the first game? BYU in the first game shot 34%. So that second game where the point total was higher, I'm just saying, I think BYU can beat Alabama. It's going to have to be one of their better performances because Alabama's legitimately good. Like I think that's the thing that scares me, is that Alabama is legitimately good. What does any of this have to do with Monty's 12 over in Arizona? I don't know what 12 over means. I have no idea what that means.
Is that a golf reference? Is that what that is?
And I was way more than 12 over. Way more over than 12. What's the deal with the NCAA and police investigating UConn?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to the hypocrisy of UConn. And yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to Matt Weiss's ass too. Jim Harbaugh.
Hey, hold on.
It was just cheeseburgers for kids.
Who's not in the comments section today? Well.
None of the Michigan guys are in the comment section today. Mike Smith, to be fair, James, it was considered a major upset for Oak State wrestlers to win the match.
Bro, I can't. Bro, it's March Madness. I don't care about wrestling, dude. I'm sorry. Come on.
I don't care about wrestling in October Madness or
Good God.
January Madness. Texas got a new coach, Sean Miller. If you could please pronounce his name correctly, it's not Sean Miller. It's scumbag Sean Miller.
Yeah.
And if we're being really, if you look at his birth certificate, I believe it says scumbag sweaty Sean Miller.
Shame.
This is an awful, Awful decision. Awful decision by Texas basketball. Don't even get me started. High casual, Sparty will win it. They rebound, play defense, and run the fast break better than all the teams left. Good betting value at plus 2,000. Thank me later. Okay. Lopes fan Gabe, good morning to you. Roy Wall, bring on the skin fungus. No, I'm not doing wrestling. I'm not doing it. Hook and ladder. Alabama is anything but disciplined defensively. Nobody said they were disciplined.
Yeah, no, guys, this is not confusing. Why are we struggling with this? Bro, we didn't say they were disciplined defensively. We said they were one of the best defensive teams BYU is going to see in their run here. They are athletic. They can give you problems. Like, nobody said they were a top 5 defensive team or they're just incredible. Like, that's not the point. The point is that they're able to get stops when they need to, and they've done that against the best talent in the country. So there's no question they could do it against BYU and probably will.
Oak State James for $5. I was responding to someone else's comment. I'm very excited about the basketball tourney. 3 of my Final 4 are still in. BYU, Houston, and Texas Tech. Now, you guys will remember that a certain somebody on this show, how many bad names was I called because I had, my Final 4 and I had way too many, and the SEC is going to have 2 teams left. And okay, so I don't know dilly about Dicky, but
dilly.
All I know is my Final 4 is still intact.
No Elmanes.
And it's fine. Listen, it's fine. If you guys want to cry about how Oak State lost in wrestling. Blame the Von Erichs. Blame the Von Erichs. I'm fine with Kerry Von Erichs, the problem. Right? It's it's the jackwaggery of this show sometimes.
Dude, how do you guys manage it literally every day? How do you manage to get us off of the tournament and onto like how you wipe your butt or wrestling or
it's
whatever
wrestling.
It is,
it's
dude?
Wrestling.
Now wrestling, Monty.
Somebody needs to explain to me how Oak State James manages to absolutely derail the comment section on a daily
and then
basis.
Blame it on someone else.
on a daily basis. That's what I want to know. Alabama, BYU, Bama favored by 5.5. Who you got, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I
in Newark, New Jersey, by the way.
Yeah, I have to take Bama, dude. It's no shade against BYU. I like the caliber of basketball.
Why do you
playing.
hate BYU, Jake?
I don't hate BYU. I do think Ryan Smith is funding the hell out of that team and doing a great job with it, and everything's awesome. But the problem is that you don't have
AJ
this
is
year.
not playing this year.
Yeah, you don't have him this year, and you can put out all the Utah prep tape you want. Dude's not on the floor for BYU, and so I look at this and I think, 5.5 points is a pretty reasonable number. I think Alabama probably ends up winning it by 8 or 9, and I do think BYU is going to turn over 15 times, and they're probably only going to shoot 34 to 35%.
I think the game on Thursday is Duke, Arizona. And I think that Duke, Arizona is going to be one of the best games of this entire tournament. I think it is when you look at Duke, Arizona.
Yeah.
And in the pooper for Cooper seems to be recovered from that ankle injury. And I think what Duke did to Baylor, I mean, they make SVU episodes out of crimes like that. Like somebody call Stabler and Benson.
Yeah.
Because that was an absolute dismantling of Baylor.
Right.
And Pooper's Cooper. Cooper's Pooper.
Right.
And Cooper Flag.
And stuff.
Only played 29 minutes, 18 points, 6 dimes, 9 boards, and a block. I'm going to say he's feeling fine. And Tyrese Proctor continues to be one of the best players in the country that nobody talks about. And I love Duke in that matchup. Now, having said that, we watched a pretty good part of that Arizona game. And Arizona has played significantly better the last, I would say, couple of weeks. And the thing that really stands out is the balance that we saw Arizona employ to beat Oregon. That's the thing that really stands out. KJ Lewis with double digits off the bench. Arizona Duke is going to be.
Oh, listen, I think Arizona can't get off to a slow start like they did against Oregon if you want to beat Duke. I think that, Arizona, if you want to beat Duke, you have to get off to a much quicker start. You got to get Love going early. I think that you have to announce your presence on the glass early, and control possessions early, because what you can't have happen is you can't be settling for contested threes and having all these long rebounds and allowing Cooper Flag and company to get out on the break and get out to a 10, 15-point lead, 7 to 10 minutes into the first half. That can't happen if you want to win this game. And the terrifying part is, to your point, Duke torched Baylor, and it wasn't even close. And so much to the point that Cooper Flag doesn't even have to play more than 30 minutes. And this team's feeling good. And John Shire's got them right where he needs them to be. And Cooper Flag is healthy. And that's where I say, like, this is going to be a really good game, I think. But I do think there's a chance that Duke will stretch this lead out to 15 to 20 points by the time the game is over. And dominate.
Really?
them.
No, I don't agree with that at all. The thing that worries me, I think Arizona is going to be in this game the whole way. I think the team that wins the fast break point will win this game. I think you got to play fast. I think that
I just didn't love the thing that worries me for Arizona's side. I didn't love just how the team felt to start that game. Now, hey, maybe that's a one-off, right? Okay, one-off, just came out flat, just one of those games. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. We can say that about Arizona in that game as a team. Let's say they come out scorching hot. Yeah, okay, cool. It'll be a 5-point game the whole way. It'll be 2 possessions with 5 minutes left. Okay, all right. I could kind of see that. But I could also very easily see Arizona coming out slow, having bad shot selection, not playing well the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game, and chasing Duke the whole way. I could easily see a game like that, only because Duke is playing so well. Duke is playing dominating basketball right now. So that's what concerns me.
We'll see. I think that this game's going to be unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I mean, certainly it's got, one of the best games of the tournament written all over it.
Ooh, that's going to be amazing. Stadium guy James, BYU is red hot. They have peaked at the right time. They are. I'm taking BYU. I think you should. Jake talking like an SEC homer now, Sergeant Moorhue says.
Oh, sorry if you don't like it, dude, but the numbers are the numbers.
Jeremiah says another word timeout for you, James. Mike Smith, they just play in the numbers odds with the SEC teams. Well, but do you guys, and to Lope Fan Gabe's point, because his little Lope, his boy, has his Elite Eight intact, and he went chalk. There's no Cinderella anymore. Do you guys hate or love this tournament? It's all majors. No mid-majors, no G5s, nothing. It's all the big boys. Is that good or bad for college basketball?
I think viewership-wise, it's great for college basketball. I mean, we've seen it time and again. Everybody and their mom cries about how, the little guy doesn't have enough of an opportunity, and doesn't have representation. But the reality is the big boys are doing what the big boys do, right? They're spending the money, they're bringing in the talent, they're winning ball games, they're doing what they're supposed to do. So to me, I think that like I say in football season, I'm here for the big time Saturday primetime afternoon window SEC matchup. I'm here for it. And I feel the same way about the tournament. I love the fact that we're getting Duke and Arizona, and I love the fact that in the post game interview, you've got all these Arizona guys. Love's doing the interview, and these guys are standing behind him. And I don't remember who the reporter was, but the reporter asked them like, "Hey, how do you see how you guys are playing Duke? What do you think about that or whatever?" And you see the look on their face when they realize, oh, we have Duke next. Like, I love that because Arizona is a really good team, but they are not as good as Duke. And when you look around this bracket, yeah, I love that Houston still is in the tournament. I love that we are in a place where the big boys are going to duke it out. I love that.
Yeah, I think if you look at these brackets, the South, Auburn, Michigan, Ole Miss, Michigan State,
that's awesome.
That's going to be some basketball. And I think Michigan State's got a route. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I would not want to be in the West.
Like, does it not excite you guys when you flip on ESPN and you see two nameplates are about to play?
Texas Tech and Arkansas.
That's a good game.
And I'm really surprised Arkansas is here. I'm really surprised. And it's going to be, man, how pissed off are Kentucky fans going to be if they lose to the only 10 I see? Oh, my God. Can you imagine if Cal takes Arkansas to the Final Four and Kentucky loses to Tennessee?
Eat.
Yeah. Texas Tech, Arkansas, Maryland, Florida. I love that Maryland Colorado State game.
Please stop saying that dude traveled, by the way. Can we stop? Like, can we just enjoy the moment? Can we not just enjoy that an 18-year-old kid had a huge moment, made a great shot? Like, he didn't travel by rule. I don't care if you call 3 steps on your schoolyard basketball rules. This is major college basketball. He did not travel, dude. It's that simple, man.
I don't, and listen, I understand Colorado State fan is pissed off. It's clearly not a travel. And I keep trying to tell people, go read the rule book. Oh, he took 9 steps, Monty. Go read the rule book about what a travel is and when his first step actually happens.
I mean, you've got the trolls on Twitter, making it out like this guy had the ball in his hand and is just walking around the court, not dribbling it. Like, I don't understand it, man. It's a simple, start him on the baseline, run him up the paint, get him the ball, and then drive down the left-hand side of the paint. It's not rocket science.
Mike Smith, Mountain Mama. Everyone likes the upsets by smaller schools, but those are normally in the early rounds. Totally agree. Seth, who makes hats, to some extent, it's like football. NIL budget makes power concentrated to the Big Ten and the SEC. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that Texas Tech and Houston, they're doing okay.